Good evening. Good evening, everyone. My name is Julie Sook. I'm the Dean for Master's Programs. I'm thrilled to welcome you here. The Graduate Center at CUNY is the best place in the world, or at least in New York, to be a graduate student. But I'm not going to tell you why. I'm going to let you find out for yourselves this evening. Before we get started, what I'd like to do is introduce Interim President James Meiskens, formerly the president of Queens College. We're thrilled that he's here with us this evening and here with us at the Graduate Center. He's also formerly a faculty member of the philosophy program, which has a master's program here at the Graduate Center. And he'll say a few words of welcome, followed by Professor Brian Gibney, who heads our brand new program, our newest master's program in nanoscience. So.
Thank you, Julie. Good evening. As you heard, I'm Jim Meiskens. I'm the interim president here. It's really an honor for me to welcome all of you. I can think, as Julie just said, of no more exciting time or place to pursue a master's degree than right here. In fact, one of our students in the new master's program in digital humanities told us why she chose the Graduate Center. She said it's the best place to realize her goals. She hopes to develop high-tech approaches to benefit non-traditional students, which she is. So she also chose the Graduate Center because it offered her a community she could grow with. I think that's a perfect description of master's work here. Her program, Digital Humanities, is one of the dynamic new programs we have launched in the last few years. By next fall, we will offer 16 interdisciplinary master's programs, including our newest master's program advertised right here, nanoscience. You'll hear more about that one, so I will not talk about other than to say what an opportunity with the Advanced Science Research Center and all of the wonderful faculty we have here to be able to join in cutting-edge research. Each of our master's programs takes advantage of our academic and intellectual community. And what I mean by this is that you will study with doctoral faculty and doctoral students. You will benefit from the collaborations between our master's programs and more than 30 research centers, as well as partnerships with virtually every CUNY campus. Also, throughout the year, we offer fascinating and free public programs with prominent writers like Roxane Gay or the biographer Robert Caro, former Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen, world musicians, and politicians. So all that's available to you as master's students. To be in New York City with the possibilities for networking and mentoring, I think will inspire you and help you to build your own careers. Being here also brings you together with people from virtually all over the world, and that deepens your experience. Keith Powers, who is a New York City council person who received his master's degree in political science here, said of the Graduate Center, it's a real crossroads for people who are doing their graduate work in New York City. Now, I know some of you come straight out of undergraduate programs. Others of you are pursuing careers before you embark on your master's journey. A student in our Master's in Liberal Studies program came from the fashion industry. And if I can turn my page here. What she did is she combined her professional experience as a pattern maker with her studies here in the history of fashion, and designed a unique senior project that was featured in a museum show. She plans to teach and describes her studies, much like her designs, as flexible, engaging, and rigorous. And I would add individually focused, professionally motivating, and meaningful. So, come, join the community that values graduate education for the public good. And what this means is that in this rapidly changing world, you will graduate with creative, problem-solving expertise, whether your master's is the first step to a doctoral program or a preparation for a career outside the academy. So I encourage you to read all the flyers, talk to the faculty here, and submit your application. And we look forward next fall to welcoming you at the orientation. So welcome. Thanks for being here tonight.
Not quite as tall as Jim over there. So I'd like to extend my welcome this evening as well. I'm Brian Gibney. I'm a professor at Brooklyn College, and I'm the Executive Officer of Chemistry and now the Director of the Master's Program in Nanoscience. And I'm proud to have put together this program with my colleagues from various CUNY campuses to try to offer something new and unique to the scientists in New York City. We're the first master's program in nanoscience in the city and one of the few in the nation. I want to take you back in a historical journey of science. Think of 400 BC. This is, my philosophers will tell me, this is when Democritus lived. Democritus came up with the idea of an atom being the smallest piece of something that possessed the properties of that material. So this podium would be full of podium atoms in his concept. Fast forward 2,000 years, in a blink of an eye, John Dalton, who's an English school teacher, meteorologist, who happens to be colorblind, comes up with modern atomic theory. Again, the atom being the smallest piece of an element that maintains the properties of the element. Or so we thought. We come now to 2000, and let's think about gold. You might have a gold ring on your finger. It's yellow, or it should be yellow. It's metallic, it conducts electricity, it has a certain density, it has physical and chemical properties of gold. And we used to think that a single atom of gold would possess exactly the same properties. And boy, we were wrong. If you think about a gold bar, it has the same properties as a gold coin. Gold coin as a gold flake. If you deal on the macro scale, you're dealing with one set of properties. But it turns out that as you get to the atomic scale, atoms are about the size of an angstrom, 10 to the minus 10th meters. When you get down to that scale, you lose the properties of the bulk material. It turns out if you put together gold clusters of a few hundred gold atoms, they have properties that emerge that are very different from gold in bulk. You put them in the solution, they're not gold in color. You can make gold nanoparticles any color of the rainbow you want. In fact, these things are called quantum dots, and if you go down to Best Buy these days, you can buy a television with a QLED. The Q is the quantum dot. Okay? So nanoscience is now in commercial products out there. But the trick was we as chemists couldn't see single atoms, so we didn't know that a single atom didn't have the properties of the bulk material. But about 25 years ago, we realized this was the case, and this was the beginning of what has now become nanoscience. Because once you put together sets of atoms into clusters that are on the scale of 10 to the minus 9th meters, new properties emerge, new physical and new chemical properties. And this is extremely exciting for the chemists and the physicists, because this means that we as chemists can go in, we are atomic architects. We build things at the atomic scale. We can build things on the nanoscale, and they'll have properties that we can't predict right now. These are things that we might need in technology. This might be silver that goes into clothing to make it antibacterial. It might be the quantum dots in your TV. It might be the fact that your iPod these days is not that paperweight brick of the original iPod. I have one of those things, okay? So chemists are used to thinking of compounds of a single structure, and no matter what size they are, they have the same properties. But it turns out that when you make things at the nanoscale, the properties depend not only on what it is, but upon its size. So size matters in the end, okay? And it turns out that that makes the science interdisciplinary. It doesn't mean it's chemistry, it doesn't mean it's physics, it doesn't mean it's biology, because it depends on the size. And so nanoscience is an umbrella that covers all of the sciences in engineering, electrical engineering, chemical engineering, and it's sort of an umbrella that we can all stand under and sort of understand. So we've designed this master's in nanoscience to give students training in chemistry, training in physics, training in engineering, training at the nanoscale, so that we can build new materials at the nanoscale and evaluate them for their properties, whether they be used in electronics, photonics, telecommunications, all sorts of field. This 20 years of nanoscience has been a virtual explosion. In fact, nano is the biggest thing in small science, okay? And it offers our students a renewed sense of discovery and thrill of exploration. This is uncharted territories in the areas of science these days. And CUNY is very well positioned in nanoscience. We have the best clean rooms and nanofabrication facilities on the East Coast of the United States, sitting up there at the ASRC, the Advanced Science Research Center. This is the jewel of the crown of the CUNY Decade of Science. It's a wonderful resource for all of the campuses, and in this program, you'll be able to take courses inside that clean room and learn nanofabrication, learn how to build nanostructures. You'll use those tools and the lessons learned in chemistry, physics, and interdisciplinary science to build upon nanoscience concepts and to solve problems in nanoscience so that you can build your thesis and then with that, take it out into the real world, hopefully for employment in any one of a number of scientific fields these days, or as a stepping stone to PhD programs inside of a single discipline. So I'm excited to talk to people tonight. I'll be in the room right over here, and I'd love to talk to you about nanoscience and our efforts in the master's program. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm very happy to welcome our newest master's program. So before leaving you to meet our faculty, I wanted to introduce the faculty who are here this evening and to orient you towards the various tables representing each of our programs. And I can start with that breakout room over there. You'll see Professor Ping Ji, who's a professor of computer science, also the executive officer of our doctoral program in computer science, as well as the director of the data science program. So those who are interested in data science, you'll go into that room in the corner over there. Professor Ji is an expert in networking. Then we have Women's and Gender Studies, our MA in Women's and Gender Studies, represented by Professor Donna Davis. She is a professor of anthropology at Queens College, as well as the Graduate Center, and has written a very timely and important book that just came out called Reproductive Injustice. So I encourage you to talk with her. For comparative literature, we have Professor Bettina Lerner. She is an expert on 19th century French literature and culture and translation theory. And so she will be at that table over there representing comparative literature. Then we have one of our newer programs, biography and memoir. Professor Sarah Covington, who's a professor of history here at the Graduate Center and also at Queens College, has also directed the Irish Studies program out in Queens College. She is working on a biography of Oliver Cromwell and is a specialist in early modern European, particularly British and Irish history. Then we have our Middle East Studies program, our MA in Middle East Studies. Professor Dina Legal, also a historian, works on the history of the Ottoman Empire. And then after Middle East Studies, oh, actually, did I skip? I couldn't see philosophy. Between biography and the Middle East, we have our philosophy program, Professor Nick Pappas, who's here at the Graduate Center and at City College. He is an expert on the ancients, has written several books about Plato, and also knows a lot about aesthetics, what makes something beautiful. So you can ask him all about that. He's here for our master's program in philosophy. In the corner, before we get to the room, so we have at that table at the end there, we have our MA program in classics, and we have with us Professor Jennifer Roberts, who is a political theorist and historian of ancient Greece, works on both democracy and war in ancient Greece. In the room in that corner over there, we have our Master of Arts in Liberal Studies. Our Master of Arts in Liberal Studies has 19 different concentrations. I'm not going to list all of them, but we have Professor David Humphreys here with us this evening. He's a professor of English at Queensborough Community College and also teaches in the Liberal Studies program here at the Graduate Center. The director of the program is Professor Elizabeth Macaulay Lewis, who is an archaeologist who's as comfortable with the ancient world as she is with the underworld of New York City. David, is she coming this evening also? So she will probably be here as well, and I encourage you to meet her. And then on this side, in that room, as mentioned already, we have nanoscience, and you'll get to continue the conversation about gold and small things that are a big deal with Professor Gibney in nanoscience. He is also the EO of chemistry, the doctoral program in chemistry here. In that corner, we have our programs in the digital humanities and data analysis and visualization, Professor Matt Gold, who is one of the pioneers and very visible voices in the digital humanities, is representing both of the programs, directs both of those programs. He's a professor of English here at the Graduate Center. Then we have next to data analysis and visualization, we have linguistics. Now in linguistics, we have a general linguistics program as well as a computational linguistics track within linguistics. And Professor Kyle Gorman, who is a computational linguist, he can explain what's going on with Siri, Alexa, Google Assistant, all those things that can understand you if you talk to them. And he used to work at Google, and he teaches and directs the computational linguistics program here at the Graduate Center. Then we have we have political science in between that. Political science is directed by Professor Allison Cole, who's a leading feminist political theorist. I don't think she'll be able to join us this evening, but you could also feel free to talk with me about political science. I'm also a professor in sociology and political science and liberal studies and teaching a course that's cross-listed with political science this semester. So you can feel free to talk with me. We also have students in the program who are with us this evening. We have quantitative methods in the social sciences represented by Professor Jeremy Porter. Professor Porter is on the sociology faculty at the Graduate Center, also the deputy executive officer of the doctoral program in sociology, and directs the quantitative methods program. The quantitative methods program has synergies with our Stone Center on Socioeconomic Inequality, which runs many of the wonderful free public programs that President Muyskens mentioned. Professor Porter is a demographer and sociologist. He has written about a range of really interesting topics, including church burnings, mass shootings, and other things that are sunnier. And then finally, we also have Professor Richard Osijo representing international migration studies. Professor Osijo is a sociologist on our doctoral faculty in sociology, now directing our migration studies program. And he has written books on topics such as gentrification and how they've changed urban communities. And I think he's also an expert on craft beer, and it relates to his research. Yes. All right. And then last but not least, we have our cognitive neuroscience program. We have Professor Tony Rowe, who has a lab in this building, and he is a professor of psychology, and he does really interesting research on attention and distraction. And so he will be in that room along with some students from the cognitive neuroscience program. And I encourage you, I'm sure many of you came with at least one program you were interested in. And one of the great things about the Graduate Center is that we are interdisciplinary. We have a strong public mission. We really believe in bringing together research excellence and access. And it creates an intellectual community, and we are all here under one roof. So regardless of which program you came thinking you were interested in, I encourage you to find out something about another program, not necessarily because you'll enroll, but to get a sense of the intellectual life that you'll be part of and the many synergies there will be between your intellectual interests and those of your peers in adjacent programs. So thank you very much. Please help yourself to refreshments, and I hope you enjoy the conversations that you'll have both with each other and our faculty this evening.